And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the bottom line. Lanny Ford, Rember. G is in the house. Can't remember if you've even been in here since the first of the year, G. Glad to have you along with us as well. Today, just on a weather note, today will be the first time since December the 31st that we have crossed the 60-degree mark, which is kind of unusual. Went through the whole month of January almost without hitting 60. And I want to say last year we had some 70s in January, which is not uncommon.
No, it's not.
It's not uncommon. But today will be the first day that we have gotten above 60 for the new year anyway. So that's nice weather out there. I went back to shorts on Monday. If we get above freezing during the day, I can justify going back to shorts. If we stay below freezing all day, then people look at me even more strangely than they do now. So that's why I do that. Couple things. Get your opinion, especially you, G, since it's an NFL thing. There have been two coaching candidates that have withdrawn their names moving forward, specifically one of them for the New Orleans job. Mike McCarthy. Yep, he's come out, says he's not interested. He's going to take a year off. And the only thing that I can figure out, he's doing that because it wasn't a job he really wanted.
No.
I don't know why that was such a bad job. I look at jobs as head coaches not just from rosters, but the working environment and the franchise you're going to work with, and how crazy is it?
The Saints are in, they're in cap.
Yeah.
You know. They don't.
He's saying they're in cap hell.
I know.
They have very little money. They're paying it to guys that aren't even on their team anymore. They're still paying Michael Thomas
they do it coaches all the time.
Yeah.
Well, not 50 million, but they're still paying him $25 million a year.
Right.
And he's not even in the league anymore, or I don't think he is. You know, and they also have a lot of injuries that are going to leak into this next season. So it's not going to be as good as a start this year because in week 2, everybody, including myself, were ready to put the Saints in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
After week 2. And then they came back down to earth in week 3. But
the other one that I've seen that has pulled himself out, and I'm trying to find it now because I can't find it, is Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury? Yeah,
Cliff
he's going to stay in Washington.
He's going to stay.
Yeah.
And you know, I think there's a lot to that. I think there's more you're better at coordinator than you are a head coach.
That's why Spagnuolo did not get hired.
And I agree. And I agree.
Why would he? His legacy is so strong as a coordinator, and he's been to 4 Super Bowls, Spags. You know, why?
But he's been there and he didn't succeed. He's been a head coach.
No, but he's been to 4 he's won 4 Super Bowls,
Yeah.
right? And so when you look at, you know, where he is and what he's accomplished, he's already been a head coach, and, you know, it wasn't the way it turned out. There are a lot of people, you know, it doesn't matter if it's local or, you know, wherever, that have tried the head coaching realm that were wonderful assistants that it just didn't work out. It very likely has anything to do with lack of competence as much as it is maybe it not being the right fit or not having enough time to work it out.
Well, to me, I think the biggest thing when you move from a coordinator to a head coach, you completely remove, in my opinion, the X's and O's portion of it. So
if administrator.
That's correct.
Yes.
So if you're a guy that's great at X's and O's, that doesn't always translate that you'll be a great head coach because of the management side of it.
What has Joe Glass done at Hickory that most head coaches won't do? What has he done besides win a state championship? What has he done? He came in and he administers the program. He's not the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He's not the defensive coordinator. He administers.
Well, and he
the program.
did the thing that's important that a Jim Harbaugh does, builds a culture. Dan Campbell build a culture. That's what head coaches do.
Yes.
That's why I think
it's about the process.
I'm not a fan of it, but Pete Carroll to the Raiders is huge to get that franchise straightened out, but they can't stay out of their own way, much like the Cowboys.
Well, I think they will now.
Maybe they will, but he's not a long-term solution.
For the Raiders,
he's a transition.
They're bringing him in to not give the team a new direction, just to give a team a direction.
Yeah, because they don't have nothing. They're
they
rudderless.
don't have anything.
Yeah, they're rudderless.
They have very little money.
And aren't they the poor? Not a great choice of words, but the poorest franchise. Aren't they, like, from an ownership standpoint, their ownership group is less worth or is worth less than anybody else? Now that may have changed since Brady came along.
Jets?
I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But they're one of the lower ends when it comes to having money to go play.
Yeah, they're in the bottom. They're in the bottom.
Yeah. So that I think that was a good hire. Would you say that is the best hire of NFL coaches to date? Head coaches?
Date, no.
Who?
No.
Who?
Pete
Carroll.
I don't think it is.
Who do you think?
For their situation, it is.
Who?
I think it's Mike Vrabel.
I do too.
Because
he's a proven head coach.
He's a proven head coach.
He's a proven culture builder. And he's got to get into a franchise that will let him run it. And I think he's got the keys to the kingdom as much as Bill Belichick did, because as a player and a proven head coach, I think Kraft turns him loose.
Yep. And see, he knew the guys that he was going to bring in.
Yes.
He brought in Josh McDaniels to be their offense coordinator for the 400th time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
He knows most importantly, he knows the Patriot way.
Yeah.
Because he played there for how long?
And coached there.
Okay, what is the Patriot way? Is it the Patriots or was it Belichick? What is it?
It's both, honestly.
I think it's Kraft, having a vision.
Ownership.
Right, and being an administrator and overseeing things instead of actually implementing, implementing everything every day. You implement the people in place. And again, Joe Glass at Hickory has done this, and he's done it to, I say perfection, but it's obviously very good. And this is, it's very hard in today's culture to be a head coach and a coordinator, because you're playing two roles. And a lot of times has to do with ego, or nobody can do it as good as I can do, which is the greatest inhibitor of growth.
That's true.
It is, because what it is, you get comfortable in your way and you don't allow people to do their job under your direction.
Well, and that was the key, what you said right there. You have to be, just like we talk about quarterbacks as distributors, a head coach has to be a distributor. He can't do it all. He's got to be able to put the right people in the right places, give them the ability and the authority to do what needs to be done. And here's the deal. If you don't have the confidence and the faith in the people that you put in those positions, then you've got the wrong people in the positions.
That's right. And I think, too, with smaller schools, that's a little different, because, the administrative side of things is much less. Yeah. At a school that's got less than 1,000 kids than it is for ones that are much larger. Okay, or if you have a very, very broad region, but yet not a lot of kids, that you have to encompass a lot of different cultures, and ways of life. And I'm not talking about from a diversity standpoint. I'm just talking about the way people live. Madison County is a great example of that. There's not a lot of diversity as far as ethnicity goes up there, but each community has its own. And I'm speaking from experience, has its own ways of doing things, the things they believe, their traditions, their values. And so when you go to a place like that, or like in Avery County, when you have one high school in the county, it's about bringing all of those in for a common cause. You don't try to change anything. You try to get them to respect, understand, and come together and excel and move forward, right? And so, what Coach Glass has done, Joe, he's such a good dude, and he's a great X's and O's guys too. He is very good at that. But what he realized was, I think when he got there, and David Kraft that was a great hire. David Kraft's AD there. I think, after, some issues for a few years, they got that part right. Things are good. I like where they are, and I like what they're doing, and it's I just think it's the way to do it. What's interesting to me is you and I talked about this a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago. From a coaching standpoint, a lot of the NFL guys are going to college, and a lot of college guys are going to NFL. Well, they're kind of one and the same, but then flipping back the other way right now, Lanny.
Well, but here's the deal: the reason is because what's the word I'm looking for? The model of college football is now kind of a mini NFL. I was reading articles this morning talking about some of the key people that have been GMs in the NFL or have been key players in the NFL that are now what's called GMs on the college side.
Yep.
The Lombardi guy that Belichick brought into Carolina. I mean, these are NFL staff guys that watched the salary cap and all those type things. Now they've come in to manage the business side of it that you didn't have before. Let me go back. I want to go back to Dallas for a second. I don't think anybody's excited about the Schottenheimer hire. The Schottenheimer hire, you saw what it was about when they did the press conference when Schottenheimer was on for 6 minutes and Jerry was on for 20. It's not about and I don't think Jerry has Jerry lies to himself if he thinks he's trying to build a champion there. He just wants to keep it he wants to build the franchise up so when he gets ready to sell it or somebody comes along with more money than sense can buy it. Like Matt Eberflus, that's a great hire to Dallas. He was on Jason Garrett's on staff. Mm-hmm. He didn't make it. That's a coordinator that did not make it as a head coach. Now he's come back. My question would be, who tabbed him at that? Was that a Schottenheimer hire or was that a Jerry hire?
I think yeah. But I think Schottenheimer, I really think Jerry is a collaborator. He's just out in front with everything that goes on, and the final decision is his. But you don't become a successful business person and doing the things he's done by just being it my way. You can appear that way, but that's not the way the world works.
But you don't think you don't think his results is an indication of it. He's a my way guy because he's failed.
Well, that depends on your perception of failure.
He's failed right. As making the team successful in wins and losses.
I think if you watch his documentaries,
building the value of the Cowboys, But if I'm a fan, I could care less.
But that's not how the fan feels and how the team and the franchise are valued are two different things. And so if you, like, not you, I'm talking third person, if you watch his – like documentaries and interviews and all the way back up to present day, the one thing that he really was passionate about was building businesses and going to work with his family, with his children. Mm-hmm. He enjoys doing that every day. He is a business person. He is an oil guy, okay? His job is to build net worth. Mm-hmm. That is what he's doing. Winning a Super Bowl is great. Has he done that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many times? 3. He's done it 3. Okay? Yeah, they hadn't been since, 95 or whatever, or 96, whatever it is, okay, to not the Super Bowl, but the playoffs or whatever, right? Or gotten through it. I say to them, but through it. All right, so it's been a while. But I really believe that stepping back and looking at it and understanding things are what they are, it's kind of like Pittsburgh. They're not interested in winning Super Bowls. They're not.
It does appear to be.
I don't care. I will argue with anybody on the planet that says the number one goal of the Steelers is to be a Super Bowl champion. Now, that doesn't make me right and them wrong, but I will argue that all day long.
If you look at the results, I don't see how you can argue with it.
Right, but you have people that will defend the way things are currently set up. Well, they don't have a losing record. Well, you know what? That's maintaining just, when you say the standard's a standard, well, where's that standard set? Mm-hmm. Because, you have people that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing on the field. They're bitching and griping and complaining. They don't get along, showing off for this and not showing off, but just showing out, not being a cohesive unit. Mm-hmm. Let me ask, this guy brought up a great point. Most NFL head coaches hire people under them that are coordinators that go on to be head coaches. How many has Tomlin had? None. How long has he been coaching?
He doesn't build a coaching tree.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and then that's fine. He's the head coach. As long as they give him the reins, he can do whatever he wants to do. Mm-hmm. But my point is, he's a great person, like as far as, building relationships with men. I think he's a great coach, all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. But are you trying to win a Super Bowl or are you just trying to win games? And Jerry makes no mistake. He says, I want to win a Super Bowl, but what's he doing? He's building his franchise.
Let me ask you this.
Steelers don't say anything, say we're not making any moves.
Are you
I'm done.
Do you not think you can build the value of a franchise with success instead of the clown show that Jerry's got going on in Dallas?
Okay, so I understand the clown show part, but if you go to the stadium it's almost like a small city.
I agree.
And you have a week that you could spend in there and go around, shop, go to eat, look at these things. Now, that is what the brand is. It's not winning. It's the brand.
It's Jerry World.
But the people, to me, that support that franchise, they're not interested in that. There's a lot of dissatisfied and empty seats in Jerry World.
There might be, but you look on Facebook with our friends, they'll fall on the sword. It's like politics.
I understand that.
It's just like politics.
But they want to change.
That is human nature. See, it is like politics. They, for a narrative, you will fall on the sword instead of stepping back and saying, wait a minute, is this truth? Is this right? No, it's the way my party believes, so I'm going to, or this is the way my team believes, so I'm going to. It's like Steeler fans.
Right.
Now you're starting to see the roiling and unraveling of, people being incredibly dedicated to certain teams. Because it's just that happened in Carolina, or what's happening.
Yeah.
Now, I think things are turning around there, and it's kind of, to me, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
But who's gotten out of the way since that's happened?
Well, ownership.
Yeah, we don't see them spitting on people or, being rude or, what I'm saying? Back up.
See, one thing that I've learned, especially after this NFL season, if you know the owner's name, 94% of the time, it's a bad thing.
You're right.
If you know an NFL owner's name. Woody Johnson, Jerry, obviously. And then who is the owner of the Raiders? And with the only exception, Mark Davis.
Yeah.
Gosh. But and then if we turn to the other side, Sheila Ford, she's got the Lions back on track.
Mm-hmm.
And then Robert Kraft, which is pretty much the only exception to that list.
Mm-hmm. The other things that are in here I'm looking at team values right now. This was 2024 NFL team values. Of course, the Cowboys are on top.
By a lot.
Who do you think the bottom franchise is?
Titans.
Not even close.
You don't think so?
Not by value.
Oh, I'm sorry, value. I thought you
value.
meant by
value.
I'm sorry.
What's that franchise value?
Sorry.
Is it the Raiders? No, it's not the Raiders because.
No, the Raiders are really high because of where they are.
Yeah. And it's because of ownership. It's
not the Jets. It
Jets
would be
kind of up there. The Bengals. Mike Brown, the owner, he cannot get out of the way. One of the surprising things, the Lions are 29th. Even though where they've come from,
team value, it's because their history.
And here's the other thing.
Where does Cleveland fall with that?
All right. Here's the other thing. When you get to number 10, get to number 10 with the Bears, okay, their value is at 6.4. Everybody else down to 24 is in the $6 billion range.
Right.
So they're all kind of there. Then when you get to 25, is where the Panthers come in, 5.9. And then it stays in the fives all the way through the rest. So there's not a lot of difference, except at the very top. And when you say the top, Cowboys at 11, Rams at 8, Patriots right at 8, Giants at 7.8, Raiders at 7.8. They're number 5. 49ers at 7.4. The Jets, 7.3. The Dolphins at 7.1. And the Eagles at 7. But
Eagles doesn't shock me.
I mean, I get,
and neither does the Dolphins.
To me, if you go back and look at what these franchises, the franchises were purchased for, and what their value is now, you're building your value. What's wrong with you making it a competitive product? I understand that you get into it for business. I do. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
But you really can't screw up the value of an NFL franchise. They're going to always they're always going to grow
it's kind
in
of all
value.
Ships rise with the
you
tide.
You don't have any choice because of the
You're
league.
Right.
But I just have a problem with ownership in any sport that really doesn't concentrate on making it a better product. I don't look at it as a commodity. This is my business. This is my widgets that I have, but they're just little football players because I just think I just think there needs to be more of a commitment. When you go back to some of these families, like, for example, I got to take Jerry off the list because I just don't believe anything he says. I've been surprised by the Mara family. That's been a traditionally good franchise, family-owned. That's the Giants.
Yeah.
Giants, yeah.
Mark
Chiefs,
Davis
same way.
is one that owns the Raiders.
Davis.
Woody Johnson, you know that's been a debacle.
Yeah.
The DeBartolo family and the Yorks at the 49ers.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Jeffrey Lurie at the Eagles. The McCaskies, Hallis McCaskies from the Bears.
Yeah.
They probably need to look at doing some things differently.
They do.
You know, the Broncos, Rob Walton, the Walton family out of Walmart, they've kind of stayed out of the way.
Well, I think.
Oh, yeah.
They put the right people in place and stay. Arthur
like, they
Blank
put
is another great owner. You know, he's not one of the richer owners, but he's a good owner.
He's a good owner, but
Yep. Let's see. The Browns are 22-4. You asked where the Browns were?
they're 33rd.
The Haslam?
They're 33rd on the list of only 32 teams.
They're 22nd in value. You know, even, Tepper is at 25.
Where
the
is-
Spanos family for the Chargers. You know, Irsay's another one, little iffy when you talk about the Colts.
Where is the Chargers on that list?
The Chargers, 26th.
Sounds
They're
right.
So they're
26th.
right behind the Panthers.
Yeah,
Right.
it sounds right.
Yep.
I think, when we talk about this, there's two different ways to look at this. And basically two only, from a fan standpoint and then from an ownership standpoint. And when you have a family and that is your number one priority, all right, and building something for them, for a legacy for your family, building businesses with your family, I don't fault anyone for having that mindset in building their brand. Because as the fans continue to dive into it and are fans of the team, they come to accept that. With Dallas, it is kind of like politics in sports, all sports. Okay, Carolina is no different. Clemson's no different with their football fans, and Carolina with basketball. It is blind loyalty. It doesn't matter what. It's whoever the coach is, or who or for the university. No matter what, I think if you want to have an NFL successful franchise and successful program, whatever, and consistent team, then you have to draft quality first. That doesn't mean that the player is not high quality, but there are plenty of high quality players from an athletic standpoint that are very high quality human beings. And that is what gets you through the tougher times, because athletes just, make plays. But there's 11 people on the field, all right, on one side of the ball. And I think we have all seen disasters with high draft picks because the person was maybe not looked at as much as the player. And I think any organization that's outside of sports, they want to hire talent and creativity. It's like I'm on this committee that's based out of Hickory that's trying to attract talent to come to the area. And went through the thing and all this a couple months ago when we met or whatever. This is how we're going to do it. And Dr. Henshaw and everybody was up there, and Garrett, whatever. And we were talking about things and talking about, well, we get the most talent. I said, wait a minute, that's true, but we have to make sure that they're the right fit. Because, the amenities that we have, we need to make sure that we're diversified in the amenities so it becomes attractive for what people are looking for, right? It's all about the fit. Everybody's like, the shiny object, the shiny object. How's that working out for the bass?
But you have to take multiple things when you evaluate to do something. You can't just let one area of expertise, for lack of a better phrase, be the dominant thing. You have to say, okay, they're great at this, but are they going to run everybody else off because they've got of their personality or the way that they wield power? You've got to take all of that into consideration because it all has an impact. because you can't. Nobody operates with just one identity. You have different facets.
And it's how you react to your environment. What's most important and how you handle it, right? Not necessarily what you bring to the environment.
Right.
Because the environment is there's uncontrollables. It's like sports. You can't control what somebody else on the other side of the ball or even your own team's going to do, but it's how you handle that within every play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we're seeing in the NFL with a lot of higher draft picks is that everything was, well, they ran a 4.4 at the combine. They bench pressed, 225 18 times. They jumped up 13 feet in the air and did this and did that, but yet they can't, if somebody mouths off to them, they can't step back and work, and understand that they can't control that behavior, so they're just going to back off. We're talking about professionals. I'm talking about college players. We're talking about professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where does the assessment in that come in? And what happens is you have all these external factors that come in about it's like the movie Draft Day. When the owner tells, Kevin Costner, who was Sonny,
I was just getting ready to bring up a point about that.
It is. He says, I need you to make a splash. Sonny's like, well, I understand that from selling jerseys. Basically is what he's saying. I understand it from selling jerseys point of view and making da-da-da, but we're trying to win a Super Bowl. That's what I'm doing. What are we doing here? Let me do my job. He keeps saying that. He's right. He's right. I understand the owner side of it. They got to make money and sell. But if you hire a GM that is focused on trying to win a Super Bowl, then you've got to be on the same page, and that's where Kraft, his GM, and now Vrabel are on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing: you talk about that move with Draft Day, and then the defensive player brings up points to Sonny that says you need to look at this, and Sonny wants to know why did nobody come to his birthday party because he may be a great talent on the field,
that's right.
But you got to do the other thing. The other movie that's like that, where you can't just focus on one thing, is I'm trying to think of the name of
Remember the Titans?
No, something about the curve with Clint Eastwood, where he's an old baseball.
He's the scout or whatever it is that
Trouble with the Curve.
Yeah.
Trouble with the Curve. Same thing.
Right.
You got to look at all the things and make this evaluation. That's the part that bothers me about Jerry. Jerry is only interested in it from the circus standpoint.
Right.
Because in his mind, well, we're the Cowboys. People will always come here because we're the Cowboys. But let me go back to your thing that you were talking about, how an owner wants to build value for their family and all those type things. I saw an article here. The Eagles got approved to sell a minority piece, okay, at a 7. Let me see. Where's the value? At a team, they got a deal to sell 8% at an $8.3 billion valuation. That's what the league let them sell. Okay, there's two family investments that are coming in on that.
Right.
So here's my point. In 2023, the Eagles were number 9 in the league from a revenue standpoint at $669 million. Okay, they've got a value now of over $8 billion. Here's the part that I said it will take care of itself. You don't have to run a circus. Because the Eagles haven't run a circus.
No.
When Jeffrey Lurie purchased the Eagles in 1994, he took out a loan and he bought the team for $185 million.
What, you 94?
94. Okay, so they made more in revenue last year than he paid for the team, but he went from $185 million to $8.4 billion, and he did that in 30 years. If it was in 94, this
basically it's 30 years.
Yeah.
30,
so you got
years.
In theory, you want to double about every 10. Now I'm talking about in theory, just based off inflation and just the rate of return, the way that the rule of 72 works. Okay, but in this case, it's obvious that that's gone way, way above.
Well, I'll tell you what it is.
Because of Roger Goodell.
And I'll tell you what it is.
That's why.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to create your own circus. It'll take care of itself because of the mechanism you're inside of.
If the person running the mechanism promotes it the way,
but the owners control that, and they've got the guy that you don't have to like him, but he does what's best for the league and the owners.
Yeah, well, he makes some money.
Yeah,
they forgive him for a lot of things.
And that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying.
Yes.
Why can't you just run your franchise to win? Because the league's going to take care of your value.
Well,
all right, listen to this. Since he's owned the Eagles, the team's value has increased. You're in this business average, okay, 13.2% per year.
Per year. Right, sure.
Outpacing S&P 500, which increased at a rate of 8.9 annually. So what I'm saying,
That's weighted, of course.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, if I were an owner and I got into it not just to make money, but because I love the game, the money part, I think, because of who's running the league, is going to take care of itself. You need to worry about letting the team take care of itself from what it's supposed to do.
I'll tell you that I agree with a lot of that, but I don't think if Jerry had not invested into Jerry World that the valuation would be. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying from the teams that don't have the market cap and the exposure that America's teams such as Dallas or the Steelers or, like somewhere in New York or L.A. or even Boston, okay? So I think that's why, you could potentially now, because Atlanta's such a hot spot for investing and, growth and all these things, you could potentially take somebody like Jerry Jones and put him in Atlanta and very likely yield a result similar to that of L.A. or Boston or like New York, for example, okay? Even potentially down in Miami if they were to, or I say Miami, somewhere in Central Florida would probably be a little better, to be able to, market something like that. This is a really good discussion on the realities of the business world versus the fans' perspective of what we want and how much we get into it. Because we are fans, we want our team to win. Winning to people that own businesses is providing a quality product, which everybody in the NFL does. The team might not be good, but it's still very high quality because they're professionals. But the growth and the revenue, and CapEx, spending and all of these things that go into it and investing into the franchise and into the people. So, people don't get where they are because they're lucky. They don't get where they are because they do everything themselves. The appearance of that is by those that that have not experienced a level of success, maybe not like that, but made a major jump, and they just kind of sit back and say, well, that person's lucky. There's a lot of things that go into building a business, a lot of failures, a lot of hard times and things like that. And from a fan standpoint, you and I more than anybody, we love the Steelers. We want them to be Super Bowl champions. But we also know that
I don't want to be Super Bowl champion. I want to be relative.
But no, yeah.
They're not even relative after the regular season.
Right, no, I get it. But we want them to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what we strive for. Juju loves them. He talks about it. G's got his team, but we want them to do that. But, Laney, the reality of it is they're not committed to doing that, and they show us that. And so as fans, we either have to continue to pull for our team and just hope we can pull it out based, against the winds, and I mean WINDS, or, we're just going to have to fold the tents. I will tell you, if changes aren't made in Pittsburgh, I will be disconnected next year, majorly.
Let me one final point on Jerry, and this is what I'll say. When Jerry started, Jerry went at it the right way, and then when he found out that he was building value, he was increasing his asset, he was winning championships, but the piece that he was missing was he wasn't getting all the glory for it. Had he just stayed out of the way, he would have continued to build the value of that franchise. And the value would have continued to go up, and they would have continued to build championships. But he couldn't check his ego and personality to get out of the way.
So what has happened with that is he stayed front and center and built his brand and continued, the people still show up. And so all great CEOs are great entertainers, right? Donald Trump is now our president, was before. He is a great entertainer. Doesn't mean people have to like him or agree or love him or they do or they don't, whatever. That doesn't matter. He's a great entertainer, and engagement and constant attention is what moves things forward. And that gives the appearance of success, because if something is not necessary or needed, then it's ignored or not paid attention to.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think the topic today on this, Lenny, was fantastic, and it really helps us understand the direction of what each individual team does. And as a fan, it gives us pause. You know, I've got very good friends that are very, very loyalist with Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. You know, Keywan McDaniel is one of them. He and Michael Danner.
Yeah.
They're two of my favorite people on this planet. And many Cowboy fans.
But nobody can tell me they're happy.
And they're not.
Yeah.
They're frustrated.
They have no reason to be.
But the thing about it is, you know, like every season they have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I blame the media as much as anybody for the Dallas thing, because every year this is the year for the Cowboys. They have said that every year on the shows.
But it's because,
every year.
But it's because for the same thing that you say.
Yes.
The media companies don't care if it's real or
That's
accurate.
what I'm
They just want to
saying.
create clicks because they know that you got. Dan Patrick will tell you that when he was at ESPN.
Right. Oh, it was
you
the
had
narrative.
To you
It was
had
the
to have a
narrative.
Cowboy story.
It's a narrative.
Period.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why people don't trust wide brand media anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
At a grand scale, when the people working there are wonderful people, but they have to carry a narrative. The narrative can never be greater than the truth, or the narrative crumbles in the end and you have nothing left. It's the same way in politics. It's the same way in sports.
That's why
it's the same way in your marriage. Mine. Raising our kids.
That's why I can't put any. I don't have any faith in Jerry in Jerry Jones having the Cowboy franchise. I'm not talking about his investment.
No.
Right.
I'm talking about the product. The Cowboy franchise is best interest. That's not, because it's not.
It's
he
building
does
the brand.
Yeah. You got to separate the two.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get out of here. Ford's got a tie on. He's got stuff to do. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.